Hello everyone and welcome back to CS with Mr. G. This is our second lesson of databases, which is only a small unit for iGCSE, and in today's lesson we will look at this term SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language, where we will be able to read and understand basic SQL scripts or SQL statements in order to what we call query data, which means question it and be able to manipulate data, and we're going to do so with data stored in a single database table, which we explored in our first lesson of Unit 9. So this term query, structured query language, is how we filter out specific information when it comes to data being stored. So if we think of a database as a huge filing cabinet where data is stored, we need specific tools in order to filter out or search for information. As you can imagine, data in a huge filing cabinet might be quite tricky to find, especially if you're searching for a very specific piece of information. It could take a while, and this is why databases are so powerful and why SQL is so popular in the world of computing. So SQL is the language that we use in order to ask the database questions and request very specific information that we want to see. As you can see there, I have a picture of a sieve which will filter out things, which is exactly what SQL does in a database. So the four things that we can do with SQL that we need to know for GCSE, we need to be able to select data, insert data, update data, and delete data. And we do so by using these command words here. So these 6 commands, we need to be able to use and understand when to use them. And to demonstrate this, we're going to use this simple table here, which includes information of students, where we have 3 students, Alice, Bob, and Charlie. And hopefully you can remember what we refer to each column as, and each column is a field. We have 4 fields, the student's ID, name, age, and grade. And we have 3 students, or in other words, records. So hopefully you've remembered that from last lesson. And also you can identify the primary key, which yes, is the student's ID, as these are unique. So this is the table we're going to use to run our SQL statements. And first and foremost, we'll start with the most simple, which is to select data. And the select command, as you can see in capitals here, will literally select one of the fields from the table name that we give it. So in this example, I only want to see the names of the students from the students table. So select name from students would simply return Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Likewise, if I put select student's ID instead of name, it would return 1, 2, and 3. Or what we could do is we could select both, and we could select student's ID, comma name, and select multiple fields from the table, and in which case it would return all of this information, as these are the 2 fields that we've selected. But select will simply just print out or give back the data that we select from the table that we give it. Likewise, what we can do as a shortcut is simply put an asterisk after the select, which means select everything, and this will give us back all the fields from the table students. And as you can see, it literally just gives back the whole table that I showed you at the beginning. So the asterisk is to show all information and is a very useful tool, and it saves you writing out select student's ID, name, age, and grade. We can just use the asterisk instead. Now, when we want to start to filter our information out and only select specific information, we can use the where command to act as a filter and apply a certain set of criteria, like in the example here. I want to select all the students with the asterisk from the table students where the age equals 14. So the where statement at the end is followed by a condition, a bit like an if statement, and I've set a criteria for the age to equal 14. And what this has done is it's filtered out the 2 students whose age matched the number that I gave it, which were Alice and Charlie, and Bob, who's 15, can't be seen in the returned results. So the where function is a filter which allows us to pick specific information and can be used in a number of different ways given scenarios that we will see when it comes to our paper 2 exam. We can also sort our information in some kind of order, and that's using the order by command. So order by, it speaks for itself, and after we've selected some information, just like before, where we select all the data from the students table, we can then use the order by command to order by age, which as you can see, puts our students in age order. So although we haven't got a lot of information to play with here, it has put Alice, Charlie, and Bob in age order. And we know that because the students' IDs have swapped around here and it's gone from 14 down to 15. What we can do to be more specific is we could have wrote the word ASC, which means ascending, but by default, if you don't put ASC, it will put it in ascending order. Likewise, you can use the letters DESC for descending, and this would put it in descending order. You just have to write it after the order by command. So order by ascending or descending, very simple, and is another tool that we can use when it comes to SQL. Sum will simply add up values. So the sum command we use after the select statement, and here we've selected selected the ages of our students, and we're going to add these numbers up. So select sum age. We'll add up the age numbers, which were 14, 15, and 14, and this would give us back the answer, which is just 43. So although this isn't a good example to use as sum statement, if it was a list of items that all had prices, and we wanted the total price of all of the items in a table, we could use the select sum statement in order to give us back that total number. Count is similar, although it doesn't add them up. It literally just counts how many records are there. So as you can see, I've used the select count on all records in the table from the table students where grade equals 9. So I've used the where statement to filter out the students who got a grade 9. And then I've counted how many got a grade 9, which was only 2. If I just go back to the information, you can see Alice got a 9, Charlie got a 9, Bob got a 10. So I want to select the students who got a grade 9, and the answer was only 2. And then finally, we can use the operators very similar to programming, which were equals, which I've just used, not equal to, more than, less than, more than or equal to, less than or equal to, and then and, or, and not. So and, or, and not can be used to combine two where statements. And in this case, I'm selecting all students from the students table again, where the grade equals 9 and the age is 14. So this returns Alice and Charlie, who are both 14 and both got a grade 9. If Charlie was 15, this whole record wouldn't have been returned as it required the two conditions, grade and age, and it would have just returned Alice, not both students that you can see here. So and, or, and not, that's been covered in the programming unit, as well as our operations here when it comes to comparing arithmetics. So to put all this into practice, we have a new table, a new scenario, and it's a list of animals, and I want you to write SQL statements to find the following 3 bullet points, which is to first, to find all animal names in alphabetical order. So here we just need to select names, or select name, sorry, as it's spelt name like this. We then need to use the word from. As always, we refer to the name of the table, which is animals, and then to put them in alphabetical order, we use the order by statement, and we want to order them by name, and we can say in ascending order to make sure it's A to Z. And just to confirm, select name from animals, order by name ascending would give us just the animal names in alphabetical order. Now to find all animal names and weights of animals that are over 1,000 kilograms. So now I'm going to select name, comma, weight, as it's just these two fields that I want to return from the name of the table, which is animals. We then use a where command because we need to filter out the animals that are over 1,000 kilograms. And we are going to say where the weight is more than or equal to 1,000. And just to confirm, select name and weight from the table animals where weight is more than 1,000. And again, this would just give us back this field and this field of the rhino and giraffe, as they are the only two over 1,000. Then finally, we want to find all animals and include all fields, so we can use our asterisk for that are over 2 meters and over 1,500 kilograms. So first, we're going to select all, as it asks for all fields. So we use the asterisk from the animal table, as always. We then use a where statement. Now we have two conditions for our where command, and it's going to be where height is more than 2 and weight is more than 1,500. So the and operator used for the two conditions. And as you can see, select everything from the animal table where height is more than 2 and weight is more than 1,500. So that's it for today's lesson, guys. And that is our lesson on SQL. In the next lesson, we will have a unit review, which, as I've mentioned, is only a small unit, but we need to put this into practice when it comes to past paper questions and just practicing across many different scenarios so that we are equipped for that paper 2 exam, as unit 9 will offer us around 8 marks in the paper 2, which I hope you can pick up all 8 when it comes to that exam. And as always, guys, I hope you've managed to follow along. We are nearing the end of the course with only 1 unit to go, so well done if you've made it this far, and hopefully I will see you in the last unit, which is Boolean logic. Okay guys, thanks again and see you again soon.